Calling meeting to order. Please join me for the pledge. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mike has to do the pledge all by himself.
Start over for you, Mike. This is our regular city council meeting for June 23rd, 2025. Do the roll call, please.
Weber.
Yes.
Hannah.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Maynard.
Here.
Prusader.
Present.
O'Laughlin.
Yes.
Party.
Jensen. Here.
Okay, next we move to item 3. I need a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved.
So moved.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 7-0. Next, we move to public comment. We don't have anything other than the petitions from the public, correct? Okay. Move to item number 5 then. Item number 5, I need a motion to accept and approve the consent agenda, which includes the minutes of the June 9, 2025 meeting and all of the renewals for home occupation, solid waste, and tobacco permits for the fiscal year 2026 that are on page 9 and 10 of your packet.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 7-0. Next, we move to the financials. Item number 6, I need a motion to approve the claims for payment.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 7-0. Next, we move to item number 7, which is revenues and expenses to date for information only. Anybody have any questions or comments with regard to that? Hearing none, we move to item number 8, which is transfers. Again, this is information only. Anybody have any issues or questions with regard to the transfers? Hearing none, we move to the petitions to the public. We'll start with the Buchanan County Historical Society. Leanne?
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Leanne Harrison, 514 Fifth Avenue Southwest, and the president of the Buchanan County Historical Society. We are requesting permission to have our annual Oakwood Cemetery tour. It's always the third Saturday of July. And I did bring some history of the Oakwood Cemetery itself for some of you that may not have it already.
Thank you.
And I believe you have our certificate of liability on file. So we would just like permission and hopefully it won't be as hot. Normally we have 2 to 3 groups of tours. Starts at noon and we divide them into half-hour groups. And each year we do at least 20 different sites, and we do have some people that will portray the person that we are talking about, and normally Captain Lee is there himself, so. If you have any questions?
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for doing that every year, Leanne.
Thanks, Leanne. Thank you, Leanne.
Oh, I'm sorry. I need a motion to approve the 15th Annual Oakwood Cemetery Tour to be held July 19, 2025.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 7-0. Now, thank you, Leanne.
Thank you.
All right, moving to the second item. Mr. Streeter, I understand that you wanted to introduce yourself to council. Okay. You want to just come up? Just tell
I
us.
just wanted to briefly introduce myself. My name is Stephen Streeter. I was born and raised here in Independence. My son Jeff and I have been doing aircraft maintenance under PNN at the airport since 22. Like I say, I started high school here in town, moved to Walker in my sophomore year. After I graduated, Uncle Sam had plans for me. I ended up in Vietnam in the Air Force. In the Air Force, I was trained to work on the radar system of the Phantom. After I got out, I worked at Collins Radio for a little while. And then in the 70s, I used my GI Bill to get my pilot's license. and I've been a crop duster pretty much ever since. During that time, I got my A&P license, aircraft mechanics license in the 70s. My son Jeff has worked with me pretty much his whole life. He got his, although he is very experienced, he got his license in about 2.5 years ago. And he works with me. Actually, I sort of help him, but so we would like to continue here at the airport.
I'm going
And
to cut you off, Mr. Streeter, only because we've got an RFP out for that went out on Friday, and it would be inappropriate for you to be talking about yourself as a
Right.
tenant when we've got other people that potentially could be applying
correct.
for it.
And I just wanted to, when you consider these RFPs,
You'll have a chance to come back and talk.
then you know who you're talking to.
Absolutely. That's why
And
we
that's
wanted,
the only purpose I'm here for today.
Sounds
is
great.
So that you can put a face to the name. Like I say, we have a lot of experience. I hope that we are able to continue here. We've worked really hard to try to do that. We will see where the negotiations take us. But I don't know, realistically, like I say, we've got a lot of experience, and we really kind of would like to be here. This is kind of our home.
we understand. I don't mean to cut you off, but I don't want to be unfair to someone else that might be applying for the, as.
Pardon me?
I don't want to cut you off, but the RFP's just gone out. No one else is here to talk about it. You'll get your chance to talk about it.
Right, exactly. And honestly, we've already sent in our proposals,
Okay?
and I don't know if there's really going to be any reason for me to come back. But as you consider these, you know who you're talking to or
Sounds
about.
good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity to address you folks.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank
you for your service.
Yes.
Okay, let's move to item number 11. I need a motion to approve the second reading of an ordinance amending the provisions pertaining to Code Section 41.14, which is fireworks.
So move.
Second.
Okay, we had the first reading last time. This is something that the state of Iowa has put into place, which means that our particular statute is null and void at the present time, which means we have none. So,
Other communities have bypassed this and enforced their own. Dubuque, for example.
They can, outside of July 3rd and 4th. July 3rd and 4th is now state-controlled, and we can't enforce anything on those days. That's I think, the point that I was trying to make when I wrote the memo was, we absolutely can do that outside of those days. But as it stands right now, because the state signed this law, ours now becomes nullified. So on July 2nd, if this isn't passed before then and put in code before this holiday, we would not be able, PD would not be able to write a ticket on July 2nd, 1st, June 30th, whatever, because ours would not be in place. That was my only implication between that paragraph and the memo to kind of put a sense of urgency that we really need to get this passed.
Sure.
And is that 11 o'clock at night they have to quit shooting them?
10.
10.
I
No.
think it's 11.
That's not correct.
Isn't it?
Nope.
I think it's 11 on the night of the
On the night of the 4th, on the night of the 4th, I believe it's 11.
July, yeah, so it's on page
around
86, I think. It says July 3rd between the hours of 9 a.m. and 10 p.m., and July 4th between the hours of 9 a.m. and 11 p.m.
Okay,
So at 11 o'clock, they can start giving tickets out if they're still shooting them, right?
right.
And then also in this, you have December 1st, correct?
Right, which is 9 a.m.
It's
to
those-
12
And
a.m.
it's those 3 days that the state is
Correct.
mandating.
Yeah, that's 364-2, item 6 of the Code of Iowa now says those 3 days, they have to be that way.
And any of those other things the other cities done was away from July 3rd, 4th, and December 31st.
I suspect that to be true. I haven't seen any of the other ones, but
That's what I've seen other cities do.
I've seen other cities do
But our
that.
amended ordinance that you're voting on is actually is only for those 3
3rd, 4th, and
days.
31st.
Right.
Absolutely.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, this will be a roll call vote then.
Hannah,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Maynard,
Yes.
Prusader,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Weber.
Yes.
Passes 7-0. Next, does anybody want to make a motion to suspend the statutory rule requiring that an ordinance be considered and voted on for passage at 2 council meetings prior to the meeting in which it is finally passed.
I will make that motion.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Then this again would be a roll call vote.
Moore,
Yes.
Maynard,
Yes.
Prusader,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Jensen,
No.
Weber,
Yes.
Hannah.
Yes.
Okay, we needed 6 out of 7, so it does pass. So next we would move to have the ordinance itself, which amends the provisions of Code Section 41.1 for fireworks placed for final passage.
Did you have a question?
We're good. Thank you.
So the motion itself on the ordinance then for the adoption pursuant to Iowa Code Section 380.3 and also to authorize the mayor to sign the ordinance.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, again, this is a roll call vote then.
Maynard,
Yes.
Prusader,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
And that passes 7-0. Next we move to item number 12, which is the first reading of the ordinance amending the code section 105 for solid waste control. So I need a motion to approve the first reading of an ordinance amending the provisions pertaining to code section chapter 105 solid waste control. Matt, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is just, we know that we've got Kleesner coming in, but we needed to be able to move the transfer station and the transfer to Blackhawk. So this is what,
This doesn't have anything to do with the transfer station.
not, I mean, to move
The waste.
the ability of Kleesner.
Where we take it to.
In order
waste
for,
to-
right, in order for Blackhawk County Solid Waste Commission to accept waste from the City of Independence, they asked that they be named as the disposal designated for the City of Independence. That's what this ordinance is for.
Okay, does everybody understand that then?
Yes.
Okay, so I need a motion first.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there further discussion with respect to this?
I only want to clarify so the public listening understands, this has nothing to do with the transfer station. The transfer station can still collect waste, they can still deliver the waste through the agreement that they have in place. This is only for the contract that's through the city, Kleesner's contract.
Okay, this will be a roll call vote then.
Prusader,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Maynard.
Passes 7-0. Next, does anybody want to make a motion to amend the statutory rule requiring that an ordinance be considered and voted on it for passage at 2 council meetings prior to the meeting at which it is finally passed?
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Again, this would be a roll call vote then.
Do we need discussion on this to explain why this is kind of important?
We certainly can, but it's important because our contract goes into effect on July 1st with Kleesner.
Right, and that's why I was
Hold on.
mentioning that.
If you would, it is important that we get it passed. It's not necessarily important that you suspend the rules because Blackhawk County Solid Waste gave us until the 1st of November to get this in the code.
Okay.
So it's okay if the council does not want to suspend the rules. It's just we typically ask that whenever we pass an ordinance. So
Okay.
We have time either way.
That's what I
But we
wanted
can start taking
explained.
waste right away to July.
That's what I wanted explained.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this would then be a roll call vote.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Maynard,
Yes.
Prusader.
Yes.
So that passes. Next, I would have a motion to have this ordinance, which amends the provisions pertaining to Code Chapter 105, Solid Waste Control, placed for final passage for adoption pursuant to Iowa Code Section 380.3, and to authorize the mayor to sign the ordinance.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. There'd be a roll call vote also.
Jensen,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Maynard,
Yes.
Prusader,
Yes.
O'Laughlin.
Yes.
Okay, that passes 7-0 also. Next, I need a motion to approve and authorize the mayor to sign the resolution that authorizes and approves the loan agreement pertaining to the issuance of $2,480,000 general obligation corporate purpose bonds, Series 2025, and providing for the levy of taxes to pay for the same.
So moved.
Second.
This is the final step in the process. We've approved all the other aspects of it.
Right, this is for the general obligation bond that we just did as part of fiscal year 26's budget.
Any further discussion with regard to it? Hearing none, this will be a roll call vote then.
Weber,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Maynard,
Yes.
Crusader,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Jensen.
Yes.
Okay, that passes 7-0. Next, we move to item number 14, which is the solid waste update, information only. Matt, do you have something for that?
This is just to get it entered into the record for the council, that the council has seen the letter and such that came from Blackhawk County Solid Waste Commission. Outlines that the city can take the waste from Klusner's contract to Blackhawk County as long as it's identified as coming from Buchanan County. There was a couple conditions on there. We've already provided them a copy of the collection agreement that they'd asked for. Council just did the solid waste ordinance piece, designated BHC landfills as designated final disposal. And I've conveyed to Klusner that they need to indicate that the trash that they take through this contract is from the city of Independence so that they know that when it goes in. Other than that, we're all good. Everything is ready to go.
Can I ask one question about the waste stuff?
Yes, sir.
I know we're all going to get the same size of can to start out with, but do they have the smaller cans if somebody wants it and still pays the same rate?
45 gallons is the smallest container that they have. They don't have 32-gallon containers.
Okay.
So the three sizes that are available is the 96, the 64, and the 45.
A couple elderly people ask me about that, though, because it's pretty hard for them to get those big cans out to the road, and they don't need them. They're not against paying the rate, but they're just against the size of it.
Yeah, that's kind of an operational thing that Klusner's decided that 45 is the smallest that they will work with. So,
Okay, if there's nothing further, we'll move to other business numbers. Number 15, I need a motion to authorize the city manager to move forward with the purchase of an excavator for the utilities department.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Matt, do you want to say something about this?
so this is a budgeted expense that's budgeted in fiscal year '26. We're coming back to ask council's authorization because it's over $50,000 as we need to do. So it's really just a kind of a process thing, but the big thing to point out is we only have one bid on it, but the reason we only have one bid on it is because this is the same piece of equipment that the streets department already has. There's a lot of reasoning to keep them the same, make sure that they can be maintained the same, parts are interchangeable between them, equipment that's attached to them is interchangeable between them. There's a lot of reasons to make sure it's the same piece of equipment. The other piece is if we were to go to another manufacturer, for example, we would have to step up in size because the other manufacturers don't make one that's this weight limit or this size. And so then you have to have bigger trucks to haul it, bigger trailers to haul it, all of those things. So that's the reason for sole sourcing it and only doing
What will
one.
they do with the old one?
This is a new one. The one that we currently have stays with the streets. This will be for the utilities department. So streets will have one and utilities department
Okay.
will have one. So we'll have two on hand. They do really good at sharing equipment right now, but there are a lot of times when they both need it. So
Will this be large enough to handle water main breaks?
not full water main breaks, no. Your smaller stuff like a service line, something like that, we could certainly handle with that. But your larger things, like for example, what's going on 8th Avenue Northeast right now, it would not be big enough to do that.
Okay.
And
We
this
can
is,
get one big enough to do that, but you might put a one in front
Double
of that number.
It's going to be, you're going to add a zero.
Yeah.
this is pages 137 and 138 of your packet, in case anybody needed to take a look at that. So I've got a motion and a second, so we've had discussion. This will be a roll call vote then.
Hannah,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Maynard,
Yes.
Crusader,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Weber.
Yes.
That passes 7-0. Next, we move to item number 16, which is the renewal of device permits for fiscal year 2026. I need a motion to deny the renewal of applications for device permits for King Tobacco and Spot 2 based upon non-compliance with the requirements of the law. First, I need a motion,
So moved.
and I need a second.
Second.
Okay, Matt?
So this would have been on the consent agenda, but because they're not in compliance, we thought it made more sense to put it on a separate item and have that discussion with the council. I've conferred with the city attorney. The council does have the authority to deny this permit. This is for devices that I'm going to have Dave come up and explain exactly what those devices are. I think there's some question that needs to be considered by the council of whether or not they want these types of things in the city. These are the only two retailers in town that have these types of devices available for sale.
So these devices are made of glass or metal, and they're commonly used
and under the state code, which was passed here within this last year, for the main purpose to smoke controlled substances with them. But the glass and the metal could be marketed to say, well, it's for people to use tobacco, but that's not necessarily what they're used for. We did a check with City Manager Schmitz, called last week. We sent an officer out, did a check both places, had them visible in violation of the code section. So it would be our recommendation as well to not have these in our town and for sale.
So if they've got those to market, they can't let anybody under 21 in their building?
They can't let anybody under 21 under the building unless they have them in a secure area which nobody under 21 can go into.
Okay.
So there's that possibility. If you think back to the old video stores where they had the back room, same type of thing.
The code of the state of Iowa says a device retailer shall only display and sell devices in a location of a retail outlet where the device retailer ensures that the devices are not visible to a person younger than 21 years of age, and where no person younger than 21 years of age is present or permitted to enter at any time. Both of the facilities that we have in town have them in the display case with everything else.
Sure.
They have signage on them that say you have to be 21 to purchase them, but they are not meeting the requirements of the law.
So is there any charges on those guys for that?
It'll be up to, as my understanding is, the state of Iowa Department of Revenues who's actually would enforce this.
So Matt sent around an email about 6 months ago, and we kind of went back and forth on that. At the bottom of the email, it said, we'll let you know more on how this will work, because a lot of times on these things, usually they take them administratively, and it's not necessarily a criminal charge. So sitting waiting and have got nothing as far as guidance on enforcement on something like this. So this is the first time it's come up where we have that possibility. So again, you as a part of the legislative board of this city can administratively say no, and then it'll go down to the state. But we've got it documented. I've got video of it from the officer as well as a written report that was turned in. So.
And the written report was included in the packet for you guys' review.
Could they come into compliance
They could,
voluntarily
but
and then reapply for their?
If they do, they'd have to reapply. And then at that point, the council could decide whether they want to allow them again or not. I mean, there's nothing that says the council, that any decision you make today is not, the next council or even at another meeting, you can change course.
Sure.
But I do think there's a bigger question here of whether or not the council wants these types of things in the community.
We've got that right to vote it down.
Yes, you do.
Waterloo did this some years back. They had an epidemic of convenience stores selling small decorative roses in glass vials. And those glass vials were not for the rose, they were for something else. And so the Waterloo did their own ordinance years ago and said you can't sell that stuff anymore. And I think that's where we're at here with this.
And there are a couple other cities across the state that are taking this approach. They're just saying, since the state legislature has given us the authority and the ability to say no, we're going to say no to this. The thing that you have to be cautious of is if you're going to say no, you got to say no to everybody. You got to treat it the same.
Any other questions?
Any other questions for Dave?
So it's going to be basically any paraphernalia or glass and metal only?
Paraphernalia is not a term I would use with this.
Okay.
So we have to use it by the term of the glass and the metal, which is used to smoke. So the state ordinance on paraphernalia says it doesn't become drug paraphernalia until actual controlled substances are smoked. So these folks don't have drug paraphernalia under the state code. So it's just going to restrict it to these glass and metal devices which are used to smoke substances with, and then that's it. Now, like a corncob pipe, if I remember under that, is still allowable, but I haven't seen a corncob pipe being smoked outside probably the Amish community in years.
Right. Now, the only question I have is, since it's glass and metal only, what about hard acrylics? Because that is becoming out there also.
Yeah, and I can't remember all that, because there's some different terms. I don't have that with me, Matt, but there were some different items within that. Meacham, I think, was another one.
I was just curious because, we're concentrating on glass and metal, but you also have hard acrylics, which would not fall under the glass and metal
Yeah, but
category.
typically, we're not seeing those. When we get into where we're talking about seizing drug paraphernalia on the street, we're getting glass or metal. I mean, that's
For the
all
most
we're
part,
getting.
yeah.
Are those used to vape, or are they one-hit wonders with the meth? And
That's more of the area which the state is looking to control, the latter instead of the former.
Okay.
So, yeah, especially as you have more predominance of the marijuana and the marijuana products where you have the wax, the resins being pushed out, and those are being smoked, and it's more high potency, so
So
yeah,
the
it's
term-
important on that.
The terminology that's in the state law says device means any equipment or product made in whole or in part of glass or metal that is designed for use in inhaling through combustion, tobacco, hemp, or other plant materials, or a controlled substance. It goes on to say device does not include a vapor product or a tobacco smoking product made of briar, meerschaum, clay, or corn cob, and not having a surface aperture or other feature consisting of metal or glass.
Further questions for Dave? Further discussion?
Thank you, Mayor.
thank you.
Okay.
Thanks,
Thanks, Dave.
Okay, this is a roll call, but keep in mind, you're voting as the motion is to deny the renewal of the applications for the device permits.
So if we denied, it's a yes.
Yes, correct.
If you want to deny it, vote yes. If you would like to allow it, vote no.
But this doesn't affect their tobacco license, right?
Correct.
It's not.
You already approved the tobacco license in the consent agenda.
Okay.
Okay, so then roll call vote.
Moore,
So a yes vote is a no.
If you vote yes, you're
you're
voting to
voting yes to
deny.
deny.
If you vote no, you're voting to allow.
Yes.
Maynard,
Yes.
Prusader,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
Weber,
Yes.
Hannah.
Yes.
Passes 7-0. Next, we move to reports. Start with Mr. Weber.
I'd just like to state that the library's got the summer reading program started, and it's a great opportunity for people to get in, sign up for the reading program. Lots of people have gotten in there now, and they're looking to make it bigger than it was last year, so.
Great, thanks for that.
The only thing I had was, I had a request that if the city could possibly clean the, inside the Grafe Memorial, because it's, I guess, full of cobwebs and hasn't been cleaned for ages, and it's got a lot of lights in there, and then the lights work, and if they can at least bring back a few lights and hopefully get that all cleaned up before the 4th of July, because I'm sure we have quite a few
What?
people tourist that.
Where are you talking about?
Next to the bridge, next to that smoking place.
Across from the mill?
Yes.
Okay.
And then also, somebody had said they aren't keeping the bathroom downtown cleaned.
They cleaned it last week. I talked to Bob about it because I got a report last week that it needed to be cleaned,
Okay.
and it's been taken care of.
That was the two things I had from public. Thank you.
The only thing I got is hope all the citizens come out and help celebrate Indy on July 3rd and 4th, as this is our last council meeting before that event happens, and hope to see everybody downtown.
No, Councilman.
That's it.
I don't really have anything, Mayor.
That's not Councilman.
Good, Mayor, thank you.
Get me off there.
As I was hurrying to come in here, I had to park behind Del Rio and was nearly run over by a car with Minnesota plates, but the windows were so obstructed in clear violation of the Iowa code on dark windows that I couldn't make out anybody. So I would like to, I don't know what the term would be, to restate, emphasize that enforcement needs to take place with those kind of things. It's currently a law, but I know it's not.
Enforced.
That's it.
Okay. Catherine?
I don't have anything, thank you. Thank you for taking care of the bathroom by the pond.
Dave, did you have anything?
Yes, please, Mayor. See me after me. I would like to give a shout out right now to Officer Bose, who is right now, as we speak, at the jail booking in one of the several juveniles that are going to get charged with the vandalism at the bathroom in the park. He has put the time in ever since that happened.
Wow.
And I would assume he's got about 200 hours of time in that case, and it's come to fruition. So again, some of these things take a lot of time. Sometimes it's not understood by the general public or even yourselves. I think to the fact these things do take time. We haven't decided we're not looking into it. It just takes a lot of time. out-of-town interviews, in-town interviews, phone calls, and all kinds of stuff.
Well, I think,
And
if it could, I think the other thing that's important for the public to understand there is that while that investigation is active, we can't talk about it.
Right. Yeah, I can't even
That
tell any
jeopardizes
of
it.
you. When I talked to Matt, I would just say it's still active. Matt
Right.
called a couple times looking for a kind of a sound bite or whatever it was, and all I can say to him even is it's still active.
Right.
But it's come to its conclusion, it's come to its end. We'll forward that on, but that's what's going on. So that's where he's at right now, and that's going to continue out till all those are charged, and they'll be sent to the court system to take care of it. But otherwise, thank you.
Next one.
Thank you. Thank you.
Chief Hayward, do you have anything?
I did not, thank you.
Okay, Brett, do you have anything?
That was just that, thanks.
Okay, Susie? No, Matt?
Greg Fangman, who owns Innovative Ag Products, reached out to me last week, wanting to know whether or not there was any desire or ability from the council for 7th Avenue Northeast and 11th Street Northeast to be abandoned so that he can expand his property. We can put this on a work session if you guys would like to have more of a conversation about it. I just wanted to see if I could kind of get a quick consensus from the council about whether or not there's any desire to abandon a public street to allow somebody to expand.
What were those?
7th
numbers?
Avenue and 7th Street?
7th Avenue Northeast and 11th Street Northeast.
Bill Greenlee elevator.
Oh, okay.
At one street.
Yeah,
So 7th Avenue and,
7th Avenue Northeast and 11th Street Northeast.
So is it runs alongside the railroad tracks then?
Yeah, runs on the north side of the railroad tracks. I told him when I was talking to him, I don't think that there's probably going to be a lot of desire by the council to abandon a public street like that, but I would ask the question at least. Like I said, if it's something we want to talk about in more depth, we can put it on the work session for the 7th and have a conversation about it. He's got some expansion that he wants to do, and he's dealing with some setbacks and things like that that are making it really difficult for him to do that. So part of the issue too is he's got power lines that run down right through the middle of the property that causes some issues for him also. So anyway, if you want to let me know, that's fine. We don't have to, I mean, obviously we're not going to make any decisions about it tonight anyway.
Anybody
Put
that's,
it on the work session, and then we could discuss it and see
We
what
can.
options there are, and
okay, let's do that then.
We can, sure.
Okay.
The only other thing I've got is the downtown signage moratorium expires tomorrow. We will have a resolution on that for the July 14th meeting to extend it again. We have no desire to enforce it in this small time in between. We do need to put the moratorium back in place again. It is on the on the Planning and Zoning Commission agenda for next Tuesday to have discussion with them about the sign ordinances and try to get moving forward on getting that stuff done. It just has moved a lot slower than we'd like it to. So just wanted to let everybody know about that in case it was on your mind. So
Okay. Entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting then?
So moved.
Second.
Sorry.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 7-0. We stand adjourned.